Hey Zwifters, welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be providing a little bit of an update for Zwifters using Mac. Now this is something that I've seen widely discussed on the forums because everyone wants to know when Zwift is going to give proper support to Mac devices, or especially Macs on Apple Silicon, because currently they have a pretty basic graphics profile and not a whole lot of resolution available to them, even though they can handle much more than they are given by Zwift. Now, while PC will almost always be better for Zwifting and gaming, the Macs can handle a lot more than they are currently given on Zwift, which is why a lot of riders are lobbying for more support and a better graphics profile, because currently it is given the high profile, but it does not have the high profile because Zwift kind of broke it when they did release it, so it's kind of a bummer that you cannot see rider shadows, extra foliage, and stuff like that on the platform. But currently, with their M2 device, you can get the medium profile, but it only goes up to 1080p resolution, which is actually pretty bad considering that it is very powerful compared to the M1. So some of you may have noticed an increase in performance in recent months, and that is because Zwift actually switched all the apps to Metal, which actually makes it run a lot smoother, and it really increases the FPS, especially for those Apple Silicon devices. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at the Zwift Eliza right now, because that'll kind of show you how high the frame rate is compared to how it used to be, and I'm going to be showing a screenshot of what it used to be like and now what it does look like now. So I am personally using a MacBook Air M1, and that used to be able to hold around 20 to 30 FPS in 1440 resolution on Zwift, but now it can hold a steady 60 FPS when there aren't too many riders around, and in a crowded environment it can hold in the mid to high 50s, which is way better than what I used to get. And you could actually really tell, especially in the recordings, that it's just a lot smoother. You don't see some of that glitching that you used to see with the low frames per second in certain locations, so it really has enhanced the experience a lot, but there is still a lot more that Zwift needs to do in order to make this better. So we're going to actually take a look now at a forum post that was released by John Mayfield, who is one of the developers at Zwift and the co-founder of Zwift. So he actually dropped a message in the forums for the community to read, so that the community can get an update, and this is kind of going to be a video version kind of explaining everything that he is saying in the message. Bunch of the forums real quick. You can see that I am on the Zwift forums right now, and I'm going to just head down to the thread that this was all going on. So I'll just go to latest real quick, and then I'm going to navigate there real quick so I can show you all the message. So there has been a lot of recent discussion, and there actually are multiple threads that discuss this topic, because there are a lot of people out there who are using Macs who want better performance, and Zwift is actually working on that, and it took them over a year to get all the Apple devices onto the Metal platform, so that kind of slowed things down a lot, and it is promising that there are going to be developments later on, but just note that it will take a lot of time. Alright, so you can see right here that John Mayfield has his post here, and first off he talks about having some extra padding for more code that's coming. So basically Zwift is trying to make room for some more enhanced graphics on Apple devices by leaving some extra room for rendering code, and that's basically saying that he's trying to make room so that the Apple devices can handle the better graphics that Zwift is trying to implement. And first you can see that Zwift has first started to use Metal versus OpenGL, and that's a change that a lot of Zwifters actually noticed, and that's what resulted in the increase in FPS. So 10% performance gain for most users, but for some users you can see an even bigger gain. So in my example, my gains are almost double what I used to see, so that is a really good gain just from making this switch. And this process, he says that it took a year, which is a really long time, and some Zwifters might lose hope after hearing that, but know that Zwift is working on this, so it will come eventually. It's just a matter of time, because Zwift does have other things that are probably higher priority than getting better graphics for Apple devices. Alright, next, Zwift is going to roll out rendering code to newer machines and retune their presets. So first, the first change that Zwifters are actually going to notice is that Zwift is going to look nicer at nighttime, and it's not going to look, it's not going to be vastly different, but there you can notice some small changes from nighttime. For nighttime, one Zwift does make these changes, so it'll look a lot more like how a PC will look at night, where you can see all the northern lights, you can see all the details that Zwift actually has in the game, just unlocked now for Mac devices. Next, Zwift wants to add tabs to the settings screen so that they can have more room for options and eventually a graphics tab. So basically, Zwift is going to, I think that Zwift will likely do this for all devices across the board, including PCs and all sorts of devices, Androids. Eventually, Zwift plans to have a little bar, just like the ones you see for like leaderboards, for example, or to choose your resolution and choose all that fun stuff. So you can actually, once Zwift does have this out, they'll likely have a little drop down. You can select different graphics profiles and then maybe a little explainer on the side saying what the difference is between them. So you can kind of toggle your FPS sort of and control how much effort your computer is actually using to try to render all this stuff that Zwift does have, because Zwift does take up a lot of power from the computer because it is a game, and Zwift has a lot more details, especially in the newer worlds such as McCurry Islands. You can see that the FPS is a lot lower in McCurry Islands than it is in, say, Watopia, where things are a bit more basic. Alright, so a lot of riders were actually asking about when the Ultra profile would actually come available, and Zwift says that that'll be at step 2 once Zwift has made this change, so it'll likely be a couple more months at least before this is actually available for Zwifters. And then Zwift also wants to deliver a native silicon binary, so Zwift wants to improve the CPU usage, and that'll actually increase the performance, and it'll make everything just run a bit smoother, just like the rest of these updates. Alright, so that's sort of just an update of what's been going on with Zwift in terms of improving the performance on Macs, and overall it's going to be a long process, and Zwift has already taken a few steps to improve the experience, so you can probably notice that now on most devices that are using Apple Silicon. And for that's about it I have for this video, and I will be providing more updates later on along the road as more details become available, so expect an update here in around 6 months or so when things have actually started to roll out. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and see you all next time. Ride on.